Welcome to the Endless Honeymoon Podcast Secret Dump.
My name is Mrs. Moshe Kasher, and
I am Mr. Moshe Kasher, and I have asked Natasha to stop using not only her maiden name, but her maiden first name. So she's just going to be Mrs. Moshe.
Is that still a thing where you say I'm Ms. Legero because I believe in the women's movement? That's such a weird thing that, like, only if you were MS did you consider yourself a feminist?
I think that's perhaps a wave away. I think we're past that.
Okay, well,
but I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody's doing Ms. anymore. I think we've moved.
I do, Ms. Legero.
Ms.?
Mrs. Legero? Why would I be Mrs. Legero?
When have you ever introduced yourself by Miss, Mrs., or Ms. in your life?
Always. People are always asking me what my name is. I got a massage the other day. They said, "What's your last name?" And then he was calling me Miss Legero.
Did you correct him and say it's Ms.?
Yeah, I was like, can you make the S sound more like a Z?
And what did he have to say?
Ms. Legero.
What did he have to say?
No, I didn't ask him that.
In this story that didn't happen?
It did happen, though.
That someone asked you your last name?
I'm just saying.
That I believe. Natasha.
Yeah.
A little while ago, we got a secret on this here secret dump where a guy was talking about how he was hot for sister. He wanted to bang his stepsister, but felt that he couldn't because their parents had just gotten together and he thought that it was wrong.
You made a good point where it's like, okay, well, what is? I just think it's like, it's the same reason why you wouldn't marry your friend's daughter. It's just like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, but it's different.
It's off.
It's just different.
What if there's a 10-year age gap?
But what if? But that's not what the dilemma here is. Anyway, we got somebody that wrote in.
Okay.
Who actually had some practical experience in the field. They write. You want to start? You want me to do it?
You can start.
All right. They write, "Hey Moshe and Natasha, I had a thing with my stepbrother in middle school. A thing. We made out, touched each other, and then we had to stop when my mom found my diary. Ooh, nightmare. I told my parents it was all a fantasy in my head and went into therapy."
Good move, though, being like, oh, that's just a fantasy in my head.
But then she had to go to therapy for this fantasy. Why is this a taboo fantasy? I don't quite get it. Me and my regular siblings couldn't sleep at my dad's house anymore. It was a hard time. To explain, my dad and my stepmom got married when I was around 8 or 9. She had a boy my exact age. We saw them about every other weekend. We got to know each other and over some time and hung out more and more. Then we ended up having a crush on each other. It was almost like going to see a family friend every other weekend, not really a sibling. So I totally get that situation. Another example is the movie Clueless, where she kisses her stepbrother. Note that step siblings are not blood related.
We know that.
Note. I like she's all of a sudden she's an anthropologist. Note. Please take note of the fact that step siblings are not blood related. If you're already adults when you meet, there's nothing.
But she's saying they're 8 or 9.
I know this one is a little weirder that she's advocating for it, but they definitely had a Brady Bunch situation. I mean, wouldn't a Brady Bunch have been more interesting if they were all fucking?
No, honey, it wouldn't.
If you're already adults when you meet, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the label of it that makes it weird, I think. Like
this is another note.
Like, what if 2 brothers dated 2 sisters? We don't find that weird. Well, kinda. But it seems accepted. If you grew up with the step sibling like an actual sibling, then there's something wrong. That's my hot take.
Oh,
love you guys.
So she's saying since she only went over there
on the freaking weekend.
Right. I mean, the whole parents getting remarried situation with more kids seems so dicey. I just had a friend tell me this weekend, this really got me stressed and made me hope that we never break up.
Okay.
I
like that.
She basically said her parents got divorced, her mom remarried.
Yeah.
And then that son, they went on their honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
The parents did. They left. She was 14. They left her alone with her mom's new husband's son, who was 16.
All right. Terrible idea.
Hold on. And he introduced her in 24 hours to smoking, drinking, and drugs. And then she became a drug addict or not an addict, but basically he was like, the second the parents left, he was like, want to get drunk? And then they smoked, they drank, and then she started smoking weed.
Did they hook up?
That seemed unclear, but the kid was like always getting into trouble. So they basically, the parents left them alone to fend for themselves. I'm just saying.
Can you text that friend and find out if they hooked up?
Oh.
I'm just trying to figure.
What if they did and she doesn't want to tell me?
I'm just trying to figure out if it was an innocent weekend of drugs or if it was an immoral weekend where they were fingering each other.
he probably had a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was more like she said, and that weekend she got introduced to weed, cigarettes, and alcohol. But then subsequently, he introduced her to every drug she ever tried.
That doesn't have anything to do with marriages, blended families. You could.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. You could have the exact same experience with your biological brother, and you could have the exact same experience with your best friend's older brother. I mean, there's no avoiding that. Do not sneeze while I'm talking. Do not, Natasha. We've talked about this before. Do not sneeze on the podcast. I said that to you, and you refused to stop.
I mean, here's the thing. If it was your real brother, you might not think your younger sibling's cool enough to tell them show them all the ropes of drugs.
So many people have been introduced to drugs by their older sibling. So many. Absolutely. I don't think this
But she didn't have that happening until her parents got remarried.
Note that this is anecdotal evidence. All right, let's hear some secrets.
Okay. We didn't land on anything, though.
Oh, whether or not it's wrong?
Yeah.
I think this person's onto something. The creep factor, the actual...
Oh, the creep factor is breakfast every morning.
Yes.
We're brother and sister.
We grew up in the same house.
We share a ride to school every day.
But I'm an adult, she's an adult, and our senior citizen parents got married. Now we can't go on a date. I just don't buy that. Although I do.
I mean, have you ever heard there's so many fish in the sea? Why date your brother?
Haven't you ever heard, oh my God, I'm so lonely. Why can't I find anyone? It's literally the theme of this podcast.
All right. Well, if you're a parent, don't leave your kids alone while you go on your honeymoon when they're teenagers.
That's the part I'm not really understanding. Like, they got married and 2 weeks later, they're responsible enough to just fend for themselves while we go to Tahiti.
Were you alive in the 80s? I mean...
Yeah, it was tight.
I was in charge. I was literally wore a key with a piece of yarn around my neck, and I was just in charge.
I think
at 11.
I think Gen X,
and all I wanted to do was fuck a high school boy.
All I wanted to do was fuck a stepsister. I think Gen X, we're the last great generation. I think we're the ones. The older people are all crotchety and want the global warming to kill everybody, and they're racist and weird. And the younger people are afraid of @replies. We're cool.
Wait, why are they afraid of
@? They're just tender. An @reply comes in, they're like, I'm so. We get emails for this podcast when you and I make a joke about something. I was so hurt. I was shook, literally to my core. Really? Because of a riff run on a podcast, you were shook to your core. And then on the other hand, so that you got too much tenderness. And then on the other hand, you got the boomers who were like, I think cruelty is actually really cool and is a gift.
No, that's more Gen X.
No. Gen X isn't cruel. Gen X is over it.
Yeah.
Cynical, not cruel.
Yeah, I was pretty much born cynical.
But I'm not Gen X, as we've discussed before. I'm Gap.
Yeah.
And Gap is even better than Gen X. Because Gen X are like Gap, but they don't know how to check their email. They don't know how to filter their email. They don't know how to log into their Facebook accounts.
Fuck you.
It's true.
I don't log into my Facebook because I'm not interested in Facebook. But honestly,
I log into Facebook because, first of all, I want to stay contemporary and up on what the young people are up to, and they're all on Facebook. And second of all, I love what they're doing politically.
Listen, honey, you think you're so young now. If one more person looks at me with this pitiful look I've now come to recognize as when I mention Instagram, every person under 35 who you mention Instagram to, they act like you're talking about Tom from MySpace. So TikTok, and then I went on TikTok because my brother and his wife are very into TikTok.
They're talk heads.
They're talk heads. They buy books because of TikTok. They go places because of TikTok. I get it. And then I looked at the interface. It's exactly the same as Instagram. It's just no photos.
I was talking to a young person who was opening for me this weekend. Young man named Andrew Young. Funny fellow. He's young. He's 28. And we were talking about the difference between TikTok and... Because I was like, oh yeah, I was talking about what you're saying. I was saying that all young people are using TikTok to learn life lessons. And he's like, well, I learned, everything I know about, he's a really good video editor and filmer, he's a I don't know if you'd call him a DP, but he's good at filming stand-up clips and stuff like that. He's like, I learned everything I know from YouTube. I was like, the difference between the generation that was raised on YouTube and the generation that was raised on is being raised on TikTok is that YouTube, they had an algorithm that would suggest videos, but by and large, you went to YouTube to find information. You'd go like, how do I edit a video? You'd look it up.
TikTok comes to you
TikTok
with that sweet algorithm.
TikTok broadcasts lessons into your algo that you didn't even want. I mean, yes, I do understand that happened on YouTube too, due to like the suggested videos. But what I'm saying is like, with
you don't just sign into YouTube and get like 5 things that are something you're interested in.
TikTok is unsolicited advice, the social media platform. That's what it is. And all these people are like, oh, I just learned that you're not supposed to eat flax in the morning. So I'm not doing that anymore.
Here's the thing about TikTok. You're either down for brain rot or not. I'm not right now. I don't want to lay on a couch and not know what happened for the last 40 minutes.
But see, you're so old, Natasha, that you don't get this. I'm young, so I do. That it's not brain rot for them. It's brain adjustment. It's for us, it's rot because our brains aren't used to it.
And you don't know what happened with the time.
For them, for extreme young people, it's
not even extreme young people. It's people who are down for it. Like my brother and his wife are 40, but they're super down for TikTok.
But let me just finish my thought here.
Yes.
Which is that these young people who are raised on these platforms, their brains are developing with the platform. So it's not rotting their brains so much as it's changing their brains. Their brains are a product of a symbiotic relationship between inserted video and brain development. And we don't know what that's going to look like.
I mean, think about our daughter. We talked about this before. When she mentioned LOL Surprise Girl, whatever that's called.
Mm-hmm.
This was a show that I purposefully shielded her from, but she still knows about it.
There's nothing new about that. That's advertisement.
But she's 4.
But that's not new. That's not social media.
So she just on
That's
YouTube
media.
saw a commercial for it.
But she would have seen it on TV.
I'm not trying to get her into the algorithm brain rot
I'm just
situation.
saying it's not a new situation that a kid saw an ad for something and goes, Mom, I want a Howdy Doody. I mean, that's old school. That's classique.
All right, well, have fun with your brains.
For those of you that
algorithms.
For those of you that would like to know more about, I recommended hypernormalization last week. I think this week I'm going to recommend a different Adam Curtis documentary called "The Century of the Self." I believe it's called. Hold on, let me just make sure.
Here's what I think would be cool.
Hold on, before you cut me off.
This has to do. No, I'm not cutting you off, Moshe. This is one of Moshe's pet peeves. He likes to completely exhaust his sentence before anyone else pipes in.
It's not exhausting it. It's finishing it. It's completing it.
But you're on your phone looking for something. I was going to do an addendum. So while you look for it, I'll say, I would be down for TikTok if there were like different tiers, if there was like an intellectual tier and that you could like sign up for like the top tier and then you wouldn't have to like look at a bunch of crap and they wouldn't have to like adjust. I would just be like, sign me up for like Alan Watts, whatever is like
Watts
the
talk?
smartest political
Oh my
stuff.
God. So you want snob
whatever
talk.
is snob talk, artists talking about their art, smart actors, not actors who are like trying to like do that thing where they snap their fingers and go into a different outfit, like whatever's like a smarter version of that.
Okay, here's
I'd sign
the
up
rec.
for that.
Here's the rec. It's called Century of the Self by Adam Curtis. It's another Adam Curtis documentary. And it's about basically the transition that occurred, I think, in the 60s, where advertisers realized that they could use subconscious messaging to get people to buy things. And it was like a revolution in advertising. Specifically, they talk about, women used to not smoke in America. And then there was some advertising guy that was like, 50% of the possible market of this product doesn't use it. So all I have to do is find a way to market that idea of marketing to. I'll just make cigarettes woman-like.
Well, you know what they did?
Capris.
No, they gave women cigarettes for there was a rally, a feminist rally, and they had all the women smoking. So it kind of like promoted it in that way.
And you know how they started to talk to each other?
How?
Excuse me, Ms. Can I bum a smoke?
Well, anyway,
That was a nice little callback. That was a nice little button on our chat.
It's very depressing, that documentary.
Well, yeah.
And very intense.
Adam Curtis, I can't recommend him enough. He'll make you really sad about the state of things. But you know what's going to make you happy about the state of things? Some secrets.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Honeymoon Podcast. This is the free yoga membership guy calling you back.
I remember this
Seems
guy.
to have worked itself out on its own. I'm not calling you guys snitches, but right after I left that secrets tip, I got this email. Due to a clerical error on our end, you've been receiving a free monthly membership at Black Swan Yoga since February 11th. A free month accidentally turned into many months. Oops. Naturally, we are not going to collect on the past months because that was our error. But we must start charging you for your membership on your next billing date. So, November is when it starts. But I didn't say anything. I just told you guys. So, I'm not calling you snitches, but something stinks. Love you guys.
I mean, look,
He got
dude,
the perfect answer. He's not due. He doesn't owe them for like 8 months of yoga membership.
Yeah, and are we snitches? No, we're advocates for small businesses. And yes, we called Black Swan Yoga. We were able to tell by the tone in your voice which yoga studio you go to. And so we called Black Swan and we said that there's a criminal in your midst. And honestly, there's no better way to celebrate No Nut November than with a paid membership at the Black Swan Yoga studio. That's
Wait,
what
I didn't
say.
know that it was No Nut November.
Yeah, it's
Is that a thing you just made up?
no, it's Sober October and then No Nut November. And you don't jerk off or nut during November.
I think you need to clean up the podcast, Moshe.
What do you mean clean it up?
Well, someone came up to me at our preschool and was like, I listened to your podcast, like one of the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool. And she's like, yeah, Finna Nut,
Yeah, good.
our daughter's teacher.
That's really good.
Finna Nut.
Her name's Finna Nut? Is she
No,
Scandinavian?
but she was like, she does look Scandinavian, but she was like, I just listened to the one called Finna Nut.
You know what? I'm glad that she had that kind of an education. Like, she's our kid's teacher, and in a way, we're her teacher. Right? Now she knows how to say she's about to blast.
But I wasn't clear if I had to explain what it was.
Did she say she liked the podcast?
Yes.
Well, there you go. She loved it. She loves nutting.
Finna Nut.
She misses whatever, wherever you are, at whatever school you're at. We're glad that you, too, are Finna Nut.
All right, let's hear a secret.
Hi, Natasha and Moshe. I have this secret. When I went to college, it was still the time when everyone used AOL Instant Messenger to communicate. Cell phones were not very prevalent. So anyway, when you met someone at a party, you might give them the phone number to your dorm room, or you would give them your screen name. So anyway, I went out to a party with a friend of mine. This was like freshman year. She lived across the hall from me. And at the end of the party, we were talking to some guys, and some of them were kind of cute. And one of them was definitely into my friend, but they didn't exchange any information. So the next day, she woke up and she said that she kind of blacked out and she didn't remember anything from the previous night. And so I thought it would be funny to make up a screen name and send her a message as if I was that guy from the previous night. It was true. She definitely didn't remember him. And it was kind of funny because at one point she said, "This is so weird. I never give out my screen name." So I'm like sending little messages to her, and then all of a sudden she busts into my room and says, "Oh my God, like some guy I met last night is texting me on AIM," and I was like, "Oh really?" And then I was like, "Yeah, there was this guy that was really into you last night." And anyway, she got more excited about it than I expected, considering she had no memory of him at all. And she suggested that they meet up. And so I thought to myself, like, I'll tell her to meet him at this, like, really nice ice cream place. and like set up the date, and then I'll just show up 15 minutes later, and she was like, I don't think he's gonna come. And so I sat with her, and then eventually like bought her some ice cream. I never told her that I did this, because she was more excited and more sad than I expected. So anyway, and that guy never signed on to AIM again. Okay. Bye.
I have one word for this.
Yeah.
Pure rude.
That's 2 words, honey.
So rude. Why would you do that to your friend?
I don't know, because it's funny, I guess. The part I don't understand is why did you arrange the ice cream date? Why take it all the way there?
I think because the friend was like, hey, maybe we should meet up.
Yeah?
So then she was like, okay.
Why? Why that part? Why not just go, nah, I'm finna nut? I just don't get it. I do remember these days of the internet where you would like meet strangers.
It's still those days. It's called How People Date.
No, but it's just like, I'm talking real strangers. Like you wouldn't even, this wasn't dating. It would just be AIM and some person would come on. You go, do you want to meet at a Caro's in the suburbs?
Ugh.
And hope you could drive 45 minutes to go like hook up with some stranger and then they wouldn't want to hook up with you. And it's like, what are you doing here? It's 3 a.m. You want eggs?
I don't think everyone did that, hun.
And the guys did.
Met at a Caro's for sex.
Well, I did. I met at a Caro's.
I just want to like see someone in person to see if I'm attracted to their like scent and their vibe. I don't think I could do it from a picture. Did you have pictures on AOL?
Nah, this was pure text.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, you wouldn't even know what they looked like before you drive out to a Caro's?
Yep.
Wow.
Didn't end up working out.
Yeah, obviously.
All right. Well, let's hear another secret.
Hi, Natasha and Moshe. So when I was young, growing up in my neighborhood, there was a bit of an incident with one of our friend's neighbors. He was turned out to be producing child pornography. I guess my parents checked to make sure that, like, me and my sister weren't in it. Turns out, like, we're all clear there. But my mom was very sensitive to this issue. And growing up, she always told us that, like, porn was illegal, porn was bad. She's also, like, very progressive with sex in general and, like, wanted us to, like, be educated and everything, but, like, porn was, like, a very sensitive topic for her. So I didn't have an interest in watching it until I was, like, 19 or 20. But unfortunately, last Christmas, my sister came home and was, like, really freaked out. She came home from college. She's like 21 or 22. And she was really freaked out because she had been watching porn and was afraid she was going to get arrested. And so I had to explain to my 22-year-old sister that porn is actually not illegal, that there was just an incident in our neighborhood. And then I also had to tell her that her best friend growing up was a victim of a terrible father. So that happened. I now have a fine relationship with porn and, like, I'm into finding really ethical shit, but that has unfortunately shaped my sister's sexuality a lot, and she now has a deep fear of, like, the internet in general and stumbling across child porn. So that's my secret. Yes, it's more of my sister's, but I'm, like, loosely involved.
Interesting.
I mean,
This is a saga.
What do we teach our children about porn?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because aren't they going to, like, if you are going to let your kids on YouTube, they're going to figure out how to get to stuff, right?
YouTube?
I don't know.
There's
internet?
no porn on YouTube.
There isn't?
No. Do you watch porn on YouTube?
No, but like,
Are you
what
thinking
about,
of you porn?
No, but what about like 2 Girls, 1 Cup? Or I
That's
don't know.
not on YouTube, honey.
Oh.
I mean, maybe
Aren't
a
there some
censored version of it
dirty
is.
viral videos?
I mean, there's definitely ribald stuff on YouTube, but I don't think that's a bevy of pornography.
All right, you're going to let your kids use the internet. I would say by the time they're 10, some boy at your kid's school out of 35 kids is going to be like, hey, did you guys know about this?
And show them videos and stuff.
Yes, and show them how to access it.
Oh, my goodness. I can't think
And what
about
are the chances that one of the kids isn't going to show someone?
I don't know how to deal with that.
All right. Well, let us know if you have any suggestions. Give us a
Ay, ay,
call. If you have a secret, 213-222-8255. 8608. And if it's complicated, send us an email. Maybe you can be on our show at endlesshoneymoonpod@gmail.
We'd love you to be a member of our Patreon community. We've got a Discord. We've got regular events where we have a dinner together. You get some hot mixtapes from your boy here. You get some artwork from our girl child. Natasha's going to be sending over some of her favorite porn clips. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that you can...
Signing books.
Signed books. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on there. So join up, be a part of our community because we love you. And Natasha, I love you.
I love you too.